This is the Barbados Today evening news for Thursday, February 8th. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary-Claire Williams. Our top story this evening, one schoolboy has been bailed and two others were remanded to the Government Industrial School after appearing in court today in connection with the recent stabbing at Grantley Adams Memorial School. 3 boys were wounded and a girl was struck by a stone during the altercation. A 16-year-old boy was charged with causing disturbance, while 2 14-year-olds were charged with serious bodily harm. The 16-year-old pleaded guilty and was granted $500 bail with 1 surety, and he is to reappear in court on April 12, pending a pre-sentencing report. One of the 14-year-olds pleaded guilty and was remanded to the GIS until April 12, pending sentencing. The other 14-year-old pleaded not guilty and was remanded to the GIS. He is due back in court on February 15. Meanwhile, 2 siblings were fined after appearing in court today in connection with an incident at a secondary school's sports day yesterday. Romel Clark was charged with trespassing, while Trina Clark was charged with assaulting an officer in the execution of her duty, obstructing a police officer in the execution of her duty, assault occasioning actual bodily harm, and criminal damage. Meanwhile, opposition leader Mia Motley says the current cases of violence in schools is worrying. Motley's comments come on the heels of the latest incidents of violence this week, and teaching staff met with officials from the Ministry of Education to discuss their concerns after several students were stabbed at the Grantley Adams Memorial on Tuesday. Addressing a news conference this afternoon, Motley blamed what she says was a lack of leadership and misplaced priorities.
Every other week we are now facing problems in the school system in this country. I believe that the Ministry of Education is lacking leadership. I believe that the misplaced priorities of these estimates year after year after year have us in trouble. We've said, and our members have said, Ms. Ford, Sandia Bradshaw, others, it's not just about the absence of fees for university, but we have not put an emphasis on getting our primary and secondary school system correct. We don't have enough guidance counselors, we don't have enough psychologists. And I've said to the parliamentary party just now, we would need, in my view, to put safety officers on buses with cameras to be able to help control the situation and bring it down.
Residents in some parts of St. Peter are complaining of a garbage pileup over the past 2 weeks, and they are calling on the Sanitation Service Authority to address the problem as soon as possible. Barbados Today's Mark Goodrich Boyce has that story.
This is just one of the many heaps of garbage plastered around the parish of St. Peter. And despite calls by residents for something to be done about the issue, they say they haven't seen a garbage truck for quite some time.
It's bad, it's real bad. You saw all the road straight on your road, garbage down to the road. So you want to play got part your truck load. You can't see no truck. The gentleman said he's done buy truck for 2 years or so, he's not wanting to come in. You see beer thing truck hauling it, freight truck, hauling lumber. Or you ain't seen no got much truck for job.
How long has this situation been going on? How long you haven't seen a garbage in here?
For a long time now. Mostly we say the private trucks.
About 2-3 weeks now, that means a garbage truck. You know, like something you have rats and stuff, like in that area there, so we have rats and stuff. So sometimes it becomes like it usually come on Saturday mornings, but we ain't see it for about 2 weeks now. So I don't know what's going on.
So how does it make you feel though your garbage not being collected in over 2 weeks?
Well, frustrated because you keep packing that garbage, and it's really disgusting in front of the house because you come in, walking, going up the road there, garbage all on side of the road, and the dogs and stuff pulling it out, pulling out the garbage. It really is frustrating.
As a result, residents have resorted to placing their garbage into feed bags to keep rodents, stray dogs, and cats away. But they're desperately hoping that sanitation authorities will soon remove these unsightly piles littering their tidy communities. When contacted, General Manager of the Sanitation Service Authority, Rosalind Knight, declined to comment on the matter. And Mark Goodrich Boyce, Barbados Today.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back with news from the region, and we go to Jamaica, where motorists could face heavy fines for traffic violations under the amended Road Traffic Act. The revised law will replace legislation dating back to 1938. We get more in this report from TVJ News.
Transport Minister Mike Henry says the bill is intended to reduce injuries and loss of life on the nation's roads.
We would save the health sector millions of dollars and make greater contributions to economic growth and development with less grease on the road.
One of the features of the bill is a restriction on handheld devices while driving. There is, however, a provision in the bill for hands-free use of cell phones, but opposition spokesman on transport Michael Phillips is proposing that earphones in both ears be banned as it impairs one's ability to hear.
This issue, Mr. Speaker, will be reviewed with an intent to provide details in the road traffic regulations as well as in the amendments that are being made to the Transport Authority Act and regulations.
Some of the offences under the bill include driving without required motor vehicle insurance coverage that will attract a fine of $20,000, driving a motor vehicle without being the holder of a driver's license $40,000, failure to obey traffic light $24,000. The bill also proposes that acceptable alcohol levels should not exceed 0.02% for regular drivers.
Further afield, opposition parties in Venezuela are debating whether to contest the April 22nd general election. The country's electoral authorities announced the date yesterday, hours after discussions between government and the opposition collapsed. The opposition is split on whether to put up candidates, as they say the process is flawed. Both sides have been at odds about the elections for weeks after the National Constituent Assembly announced that the poll would be brought forward from December to sometime before May. And finally, a French government minister has denied rumors of sexual harassment 2 weeks after another minister was accused of rape. Environment Minister Nicolas Hulot rejects any wrongdoing, and the Prime Minister, Edouard Philippe, offered his support, saying there was no reason to doubt his words. Last month, prosecutors reopened an inquiry into rape allegations against the Budget Minister, Gérard Demarmen. And that's news this evening. Remember, you can get more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and on Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM. I am Mary Claire Williams. Good evening.